And we're back. I'm going to come on in. Take a seat, Peter. Come on. It's your turn, bud. You're in the hot seat. This is Peter Hicks from My Black Ram. This is Wax Wednesday. We are here at the Muse tonight and sponsored by Backstreet Records. If any of these artists and their wares is of interest to you, come on down. They have copies for sale on site. And we're chatting with them about each of their individual new releases. We've had Kill Chicago, represented by Greg Weber, starting off the evening. We just finished with Colin Falley. And now we continue with My Black Ram, which is Peter Hicks's latest project, which the album just came out this past week, right? Well, Saturday night was your release party.
Release.
Yeah.
On the 15th of November.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm really excited about this one, Peter.
Kill Chicago, 1 week.
I know. We're
My
like...
Black Ram.
It's intense. It is. And what's next? Well, we're going to start off with the golden era. Here's My Black Ram. We'll talk to Peter Hicks in just a second. It's My Black Ram and Golden Era from their, debut album. Is it ever a debut album? Like, you guys just debuted as a band, like...
We did,
not that long ago. This has all come together really...
It was right here.
It was right here.
Yeah, in September, right?
And you started playing together as an act or putting the music together back in May?
Back in May. That was the first time that we had a practice was in May of this year.
And here we are in November with the finished project, the debut album from My Black Ram. Yeah. Welcome, Peter Hicks.
Thanks, Rob.
Peter Hicks, maybe a lot of people from New Brunswick are familiar with his work with Sleepy Driver. This is definitely a departure from that. We'll talk about that coming up. Yeah. I want to remind everybody that this is Wax Wednesday at the Muse Cafe. We are at 86 Regent Street. If you want to come down and be part of this, by all means, we have albums for sale here, including each of the artists that came tonight. Have their products here, their albums here for sale. So if you want to, come on down. And we are sponsored by Backstreet Records. So yeah, let's talk about the difference between Sleepy Driver and My Black Ram. Well, first off, Sleepy Driver kind of has an alt country kind of vibe to it, or at least that was my take on it.
Well, it did, and actually when Sleepy Driver first started, we didn't quite really know what we wanted to be. I mean, that goes back to 2007 that band kind of got going, and so if you listen to Sleepy's debut album, it's all over the map. You know,
that's true.
There's lots of college rock on there as well as lots of pedal steel, so with that. We were kind of feeling it out. There were a lot of songs that I had written over the years that kind of came together in that project, and so it was just like throwing Jello at the wall, right? I mean, we were seeing what stuck, and maybe it was just because song one of that album, Like a Weapon, was so alt country that was
you kind of got labeled as that.
Exactly,
yeah.
And so we actually ran with that quite a bit because we got that was an album that not only did well. Thanks, in part to the Fox for playing The Gravedigger.
Yeah, we love that song.
And so, but it also, I mean, we charted down. We made on the U.S. Americana charts. We made crack the top 100
nice.
for that debut, and also did the European Americana charts top 25 for a couple months in a row. So it was, the Americana audience really just grabbed hold of us, so we grabbed hold of Americana.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. How would you describe My Black Ram then?
Well, My Black Ram is a conscious departure from Americana music, and really represents. When we started off doing Sleepy Driver, there were a bunch of songs that were in that kind of college rock, 80s influenced stuff, so there is synthesizer and things like that in on that first debut, and less so as we went from album to album. But with this, it was like, all right, throw away the acoustic guitars, throw away the pedal steel, and let's write some songs that don't have traditional chord structures and things like that.
Okay,
So it was just kind of like, let's make something that represents another side of our influences. So,
and full props to you, Peter, when you did debut My Black Ram here.
Yeah.
I said, man, where did Peter's guitar chops come from? You probably already
Yeah.
had them, but you were in a band with Ethan Younglai,
Exactly.
and if he's in your band, you're going to say, here, you do the heavy
well,
lifting,
we
right?
and not only Ethan, but Dave Palmer on pedal steel, right?
Of course, yeah.
You can only have so many lead players in a band
Yeah.
before it gets a little bit ridiculous. So
But you get that spotlight here in this
exactly,
project.
because we're a 4-piece rather than a 6-piece, and bass, drums, keys, and guitar. So I mean, if there's going to be a guitar solo, it's got to be me. So.
Yeah. Well, you knocked it out when you played here.
Excellent.
I thought that was awesome. I want to, if the guys from Raynmaker don't mind me, I'm going to move this and bring this around here. That's a really, like, the album cover itself, I think that's kind of making a statement, really.
It is. Yeah.
Like it's modern looking. It's cold.
Mm-hmm.
What's your interpretation?
And that hits the nail right on the head, because everybody was so used to our alt country imagery with Sleepy Driver. Everybody was thinking traditional, So there are lots of skulls, lots of crows, lots of stuff like that. And so when coming up with the design for this, I thought, all right, well, we need a logo.
Yes.
And we need something that speaks to the use of technology or synthesizers and even drum machines on this, rather than pedal steel and acoustic guitar.
Right.
So I thought, all right, let's bring it up to this decade and create something that had a little bit more style than the traditional look and feel of Sleepy.
And this is entirely self-produced, correct?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
We had it mastered with Brad and Evan up at the recordery.
Yeah.
And they do a bang up job, but everything else was recorded right down in my basement. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, we're going to check out another track from My Black Ram. This is the one that you opened your set with when you played here, and I said that's a hit.
Yeah.
I think it is.
Yeah.
I think it is. It's called and it's yours on Wax Wednesday. That's from My Black Ram from their debut album, which just came out mere days ago. And we have Peter Hicks from the band joining us. I see Mike Hathaway in the audience there as well. Hello, Mike, bass player for the band. You were while that song was playing, we were kind of talking off mic there, and you were kind of telling me about. Did you hear the covers we pulled out from the show release?
Yeah, last weekend. Yeah.
Really, kind of pinpoints where you're coming from as far as your musical heritage
It
too,
sure
right?
does,
Well,
sure does.
explain some of that musical heritage while I flip this album over,
All right.
Peter. Where are you coming from anyway?
Well, Well, if I even went back as where I was as a child, and I think that as far as Colin and Greg go, I'm older than them. So I can remember being in the 70s. I can really remember not only listening to Kiss and things like that,
sure.
but back at my family cottage, camp up at Davidson Lake, it was up on the top of the hill, and on the weekend nights or the summer nights, I'd be able to sit up there on the dial, and you'd be picking up all these stations from like Boston, New York, and stuff like that.
I did that too when I was a kid.
Yeah, and so I was tuning in all this stuff. This is late 70s, or early 80s, and I was tuning in all these things that were, they were playing. The first time I ever heard Leonard Cohen was actually from a U.S. station. So it was like, what's that? But the band that kind of grabbed me when I was, all of 12 years old was the Talking Heads. And I was hearing them on the radio tuned in from New York. So, and it was, to me, it was just fascinating. It was so different from anything that I had heard before. Because when I say that, my exposure to music at that age, between 10 and 12, was basically things that were fed to me. Like from my dad, when he used to go away for business, he didn't think about music at all. He just, was thinking about gifts. He would go to the record store and take the top 4 albums, then come home and hand it out.
There you go.
I could have just as well gotten Sean Cassidy or Andy Gibb. Then I got, but he gave me a Kiss record. My brother got, Journey or something like that.
Yeah.
And so it kind of defined what we were as children. But that was the first time I'd been exposed to music that was different from something outside of that controlled environment. So, and it was the Talking Heads. Yeah,
You're obviously a little sentimental about vinyl, so that
yeah.
obviously meant a lot to you to have that come out.
Oh, it sure did.
Yeah.
Because I can remember when that was the thing. That and 8-tracks. Right?
Yeah,
So,
8-tracks too. Yeah. But thank God we've gone past 8-tracks for technology.
Well, that's
but I'm
next.
glad we've come back to that because there's something magic about dropping a diamond tip needle into a groove and having it vibrate and read that groove
what's
and
fascinating
spit that back out as sound. It still blows me away.
It's ripples on the water. I mean, it's a physical representation of
the music. Yeah.
Which is so one of my favorite things as a kid when it was bedtime and it was like turn that down. It was like I would just put a record on and sound was off. You can still hear it.
You can still hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I would. It's like having it on, 0.5 on the dial. But anyway.
So things are moving really quickly for the band. What are your plans for 2020? Do you have some plans to get out and play it for the folks?
Actually, it's like one of these things where we were super excited to get it out and get it released. But really, the hard part is the next phase, which is taking it beyond the city limits and and getting to other cities within the province and also even in the Maritime. So that's really the goal right now.
Yeah. I'm looking back even prior to Sleepy Driver. I remember the old Queen Cab band.
Yeah.
You guys actually hit the road for a few dates outside of the province, did you not?
We did.
Yeah. How did that go? Like that's going back 2003, somewhere right around there.
It sure was. Yeah.
Different animal back then, right?
It was, and that was fun. But that project has had a strange lifespan anyway because there were 3 distinct versions of that band.
Yeah.
There was the recorded version,
which is the duo,
with the duo, and
Ryan,
and then we did a version that kind of. At that point, it was like, hey, we need a bass player, we need a drummer. So, I mean, we got
Tracy and Kate
from the Dirt Track Dates,
and
it immediately took on this real punk
I really like that lineup of that band, actually.
So did I. And then the third iteration had Greg Harrison and Eben Arnold.
Yes.
So, Eben's now on with Young Satan in Love, and Greg's gone on to, tour the world.
For
so,
sure.
Yeah.
That's great. How about I lost my train of thought here, Pete. What golden era was what you picked as the first single? I kind of said what my choice for first single would be off your debut album. What would be the next single on the list for you?
That's really hard because I'm in love with all of them.
Well, yeah,
to a certain degree, and it really depends on who's going to be playing it.
Yeah.
I think it's not music for it's for pop rock radio stations at all. So
maybe not as pop rock stations are now.
As far as things go, the song on this that I get the kick off from most is Sweet Time, mainly because it's so opposite of any of the songs that I had written previously, in that it's it's a really nostalgic song. It's all about listening to and being exposed to hair metal. As a young
and that's where
child.
it all began for you.
Kinda, that cartoon rock, stuff, and that's really what it was. But Sweet Time's, that nostalgic looking back at that. The music itself is not at all, hair metal, but it's lyrically that's kind of what it's about. So I haven't really written a song from that perspective before.
Yeah.
And I'm used to
Sure.
murder ballads and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So I mean, that was another thing about this project is like, let's have fun with it. Let's just
It
do
opened
stuff-
things up a little
Yeah,
bit for
yeah.
you.
Let's just do stuff that we enjoy and not be afraid to laugh and
So
smile
you
and
did
stuff
feel
like
a
that.
little confined in Sleepy Driver, and less so
Well,
with this.
Yeah, well, not to slag
No,
Sleepy
no, I'm
Driver
not
at all
trying to do
because
that,
no,
'cause
no,
I love
no,
Sleepy Driver.
I know, and as far as it goes, but it's like one of those. It's a relationship situation where in any long-term relationship, you get to know your role, and we all really got to know our roles to the point that we had a hard time breaking out of that mold.
Yeah.
And so with this, it was like, all right, we could have very easily just said, all right, a couple of these guys are busy. Let's just soldier on as Sleepy Driver and try and reinvent ourselves with the same name. But I felt no, let's rebrand. Let's
Clean the
create,
slate.
Let's create something totally new.
Yeah.
And so Sweet Time represents the exact opposite of a rigid songwriting and an arrangement structure, and
Yeah.
say, hey, let's create something that makes us smile.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And it does. And so that's probably my favorite track off this. For me, the tune that I dig the most from a headphone perspective is Lost That Feeling.
Okay.
And mainly because
And that's the one we're going to play next.
that's one that we're going to play. That was a song that actually, when we first set out to do this, it was going to be a 5-song EP.
Yeah.
And then there were a couple of songs that we were all set up in my basement already, and we had done all our drum sessions, and Jason Saunier, our drummer, I was like, hey, are you busy this afternoon? Why don't you come on over? And so this Lost That Feeling is a tune that we had kind of messed around with, but we hadn't really arranged.
Okay.
And so Jason and I arranged the song, and that one and actually Boy Rodney, we arranged them kind of on the fly, just recorded the drums and created it. But there were, as far as the song goes, Lost That Feeling to me just sonically has a lot of different things, a lot of space that I really appreciate especially in this vinyl format.
All right, well, we're going to check it out now. Peter, good luck with it. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming in tonight and discussing the album, the debut album from My Black Ram. I'd like to thank our other guests, Colin Fowley, representing his album Party Music, and Greg Wepper was here from Kill Chicago. Talking about their latest album, The Fix. It's been a fantastic fall for new music in Fredericton. Very excited to see so much coming out on the vinyl format, too, because that's quite a commitment for the artist. This stuff is not cheap to make, so it's the very least we could do is buy it when they play in front of you. So thank you for coming out to Wax Wednesday tonight. We're going to close with a little My Black Ram. We'll do this again next month. I don't exactly know what we got planned out for next month, but I hope it's an evening that's just half as entertaining as this one was, because I had a great time talking to these three artists. I'd like to thank Raynemaker Productions for shooting this and helping us go Facebook Live, and you at home and you here for taking part and being part of Wax Wednesday here at the Muse. Thank you very much. We close tonight with My Black Ram and Lost That Feeling. Thank you again, Peter.
Thanks, Rob.